Really, when you come in here, it's your one time where you can't scroll on your phone, you can't do anything but just be in your body and be with yourself. A lot of times I'll put goggles over my clients' eyes because I don't want them looking around. I want them to go in while I work on them. I want it to be a very sensory experience. Deep breath in. When you're ready, take a sip at the top. Release. My name is Keeta Simone. Nice. And this is Aries. I'm originally from Trinidad and Tobago, but I live in Las Vegas, Nevada. I actually came out here on vacation with a good friend of mine and fell in love with the weather. And went home, picked up a third job, saved, and moved back out like a few months later. I feel like I've always been an entrepreneur. I had my own little business in high school. Before that, I was just like following my grandma around everywhere and my mom around everywhere. They're both also entrepreneurs. My grandfather died when my mom was 9. My grandmother was left with like 6 kids. So she was a hustler. She worked at a roti shop. And when she wasn't working at the roti shop, she hooked up with this gas company called Ramco at the time. And what she did was she collected everybody's empty gas tanks, because back in the day, you didn't just turn on the stove and cook food. You had to hook up your stove to a gas can. And so when people ran out of gas, they would come to her and switch out their empty gas can for a full one. Being the woman that she was, sometimes people wouldn't have money to pay for their gas, right? So she would have her little ledger, and I was maybe 4 or 5, and I was seeing all of this happen, and I just felt like that was just in my blood from the start. The younger me wanted to be like black ops, like sharpshooter, trained, badass. I was watching like all the kung fu movies, all the war movies, all the shooting, like, yeah, that was my deal. Like, I loved that. My family would tell you they always knew I was going to be a lawyer. I was going to be an attorney, because I love to, you know, not necessarily argue, but I just love talking with someone that has a different point of view than me and figuring out why they think that way. And yeah. My relationship with beauty was a little tumultuous, because at a very young age, I had an experience that was not a very good experience, and it made me not really appreciate my natural beauty. And so my neighbor was Caucasian, and I remember one day I got my hair washed, and I had big hair, like super big hair. And I went over to her house to play, and she laughed at me, but it made me feel so ugly about my hair. And after that, like, my mom gave me, you know, they did the perm and the jerry curl, and it broke my hair off and all this other stuff. But I was never really into my own like appearance at a young age. Confidence that I had as a kid didn't rest in my appearance. It rested in my ability to just open my mouth and say how I felt about a situation. As a single mom, my mom always gave it to me straight. She'd always like explain finances to me, explain certain things to me at a young age. And so I was always around adults watching them talk, mirroring that kind of like banter and type of communication. And I think that's probably where that came from. Probably my early 20s is when I realized that like, this is not for me. I was just never really good at taking instruction in like a certain way, you know? And when I got my first like set of jobs, it was in hospitality, and it was in the South. And there was just a certain way that, you know, things went, and I knew that it just wasn't for me. So I tried. I sure did. 2013, I got a job offer in LA to host a cannabis show. Came back to Vegas, got hired on as a chief operating officer for a cultivation and production extraction facility licensed here in Nevada. Quickly realized what was coming down the pipeline, which was sort of like the corporatization of cannabis. So these mom and pop shops, they weren't gonna be around for long, right? And so I was like, I wanna open a med spa that eventually has some sort of consumption license attached to it, but not where you're going in like eating food. We're talking about smoothies and, you know what I'm saying? Like bars and facial treatments that have CBD and some form of cannabis in it, but not for the sake of like a psychoactive effect, mostly for anti-inflammatory, anti-inflammation, healing. And everybody looked at me like I was crazy, which is fine, but I still believe in that dream. For a second, I had to take a step back and just really say, okay, instead of just saying, I'm gonna do this, let me try to poke holes in it and then find solutions for those holes that I poked. There is a connection between your skin, your gut, and your brain that a lot of women probably don't fully understand. And so when they come in with a skin issue, that's my opportunity to start looking at other areas. Because as women, our face, right? Our face is like that thing where it's the marker for our beauty. I had two people cry. One was a young woman, she worked from home and she's in tech. And she didn't realize that her apartment had black mold in it. She was breathing in black mold, right? Eventually she got sick. She went to a dermatologist, or she went to a doctor. They attempted to do a biopsy, and instead of scraping, he punctured her lymph node, and then it became systemic. And so by the time she got to me, she had black stuff coming out of her skin. And so before I could treat her, I needed her GP to clear her for her treatment. And her GP happened to be my medical director. So him and I got together, I looked at her chart, he looked at what I wanted to treat her with, he passed her for treatment, and when she came in, and I started doing these extractions on her, and we just started, because I talked to my clients. Why are you here? What are your goals? What are you eating? Da-da-da. She starts telling me her story, and that was a very emotional thing for her. She just felt very not beautiful. But by the time we got done with her treatments, you know, her skin was in a much better place. So my work was done. We're located now at 4445 South Jones Boulevard. Also going to be launching our IV therapy services pretty soon. We have a family nurse practitioner that's going to be coming on board to provide things like panels, blood panels, more focused on well care and preventative care as opposed to sick care. We're going to be phasing in things like telehealth, gut hormonal health. Yeah, so all of these things are on deck. And it really helps us to sort of expand on the skin, gut, brain axis that, yeah, we want to be able to provide.